All right. Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Good to see you, Aries. Welcome to a fresh month and a new sort of perspective on what's coming through. You picked a good day to join because we're going to do some exciting sort of shifts in the way that I normally do this. At the midpoint, I normally do a review, and I'm going to change up my format a little bit today. So this will be an experiment. You can let me know what you think. More on that in just a second. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. We'll be looking at Aries. This is for October, but if you're watching it in September, no problem, because the very beginning portion actually has to do with here and now. And let's talk a little bit about my structure. I like to begin with channeled messages, and the channeled messages come from my own intuition, from automatic writing, and oftentimes I get a totem, and this one was whispered to me as I woke up this morning. We're going to be working with the Lotus blossom, or the Lotus, today. And I'll use that as a way to channel information. So we're going to start off with that. And that's what I was doing right before I got started here. And so we'll begin with channeled messages. And then we move along to a Celtic Cross, where I just kind of take a look at whatever needs to show up today. I don't basically say that this is just going to be love or just career or XYZ. Whatever needs to come up in that portion will come up. Then I'll look at health, wealth, love, and destiny in the expanded forecast. Here's where the change is going to be for today. Usually I do a review, which can be a little repetitive. It's helpful for all of us. So what I'm going to do instead of a review is to pick a big idea, maybe 2 or 3 cards that sum it up. And then instead of going through everything that I just said, I'm going to introduce something that I've been doing on the weekends for the weekly collectives. And I will look at a blessing and a block for the month. And then you get to vote on some topics that I've highlighted. So viewer's choice. And then we'll meditate. And then after the meditation, we'll take a look at a final card. So the same format around the edges, but in the center, instead of reviewing everything that we've just talked about, I'd like to look at some new things and make use of the time. You can still see all of this on in the description afterwards, and then also on social media. So I hope you like it, and you'll get to vote today too. So hopefully that's something that you enjoy, because I want you to be able to interact with what we're doing here as well. A couple of quick notes and then we'll get started. First of all, I'd like to welcome everyone. It's good to see some familiar faces. This is always one of the quieter readings because everybody's just getting used to how everything is rolling for the next month. So thank you, Aries, for showing up, whoever did today. If you know anyone that should be watching, like, share, subscribe, let people know that this is happening. Maria will help with moderation today. So if you have any high-level questions, she's here to assist. And if you want to show love and support, I see we already have a couple new channel members and some folks that are using super stickers and super chat. Stick around until the very end, and I'll make sure to say thank you individually at the end of this reading. That way I don't interrupt the flow, but I would like to say thanks to anybody who's kind enough to give a sticker today. So if you want to show support, you could do it here. Stick around until the very end, and I will say thanks and acknowledge your contribution. Afterwards, you can also if you're watching this on replay, click thanks. I make sure to always heart all of those contributions as well. And I do see all of this, and I do read everything in chat. So welcome, everybody. Let's get into the reading today. We have some really cool stuff to talk about. To me, this is one of the most sort of sacred symbols that could come through. And I couldn't get it out of my head once Spirit started to talk to me this morning with this. So what we're going to be looking at today is the Lotus blossom, which, hello, it's beautiful, right? There's different colors. There's like blue, pink, white, and this sort of reddish color that you see here. And there's a couple of varieties. There's like water lilies, and then this sort of the lotus one that we're going to be looking at as well. So there's a lot of similarities, so I'm not going to go too much into the specifics of the 2 different types of species. But what I do want to focus on is some of their characteristics, which is the fact that they kind of grow through all of the sort of murky waters to evolve and see that beautiful flower on top. It's always one of my favorite features is how like persistent these plants are and how high they have to reach to be able to reach the top. In my research, I believe I saw that the roots can spread out on the sides around 3 meters, which is pretty wide. Even if they don't reach as tall going up, it's still, there's a lot of strength and a lot of sort of networking that happens with this flower. It also is a symbol that can be traced all the way back to Egypt, as well as other cultures such as India. We'll be talking about that in just a second. All right, so let's get into the lotus and how it relates to you today. All right, so to me, this is a divine feminine symbol. In fact, depending on the deck that I use, sometimes you'll see that on a lot of the page cards. It's associated with fertility, prosperity, purity, wealth, and it's the national flower of India and Vietnam. It may be other national symbols, so if I didn't see that, forgive me. There's only so much time that I can do the research in the morning. But from what I can see, ancient symbol that traces all the way back to early cultures as well. Like I said, the roots grow along the bottom of the riverbed, and the leaves and the blossoms push up. I showed you that one picture where you could see just how high they have to reach sometimes, and it can be both ponds and rivers depending on the species. And what this reminds us is, like the lotus, we have the capacity to rise above. You may be challenged this month to rise above some of the murky stuff going on around you. So this could be environmental. There could be people in your life that are just having a hard time or emotionally not where they need to be. And your sort of purpose is trying to sort of lift yourself above that and also maybe lift them up a little bit, but not to get pulled into the sort of murky waters that could be happening. It's also an encouragement to walk the higher path. So if there's anyone in your life that is trying to pull you down, just like the lotus blossom, you've got to push up actually to get above that. So this is a card of rising and resolving and pushing through. I thought this piece was particularly fascinating. Lotus seeds can remain viable for like thousands of years. I believe one of the oldest one was something like 1,300 years old, so 1,300 years, and it was still viable, and it basically grew. It germinated. It's reminding us that it's never too late to plant that seed, that dream, that some sort of a new beginning for yourself. One of the other things that's really cool about this particular totem is that it thrives in flood plains. So I know we have a lot of that going on right now in the here in the United States. It reminds me of kind of like how this flower can really thrive in almost tower situations. It throws out the seeds in the riverbed, and sometimes they just sit there at the bottom. And when a flood happens, then they get dispersed, and all of a sudden, like these beautiful new flowers grow. It's kind of like what happens with certain types of seeds in forest fires, and they almost need the heat in order to crack open. So when they get jostled around and they get spread around, all of a sudden after the flood, there's something beautiful that happens too. It's the sign of renewal. It's a sign of hope. So it also shows that change and movement is part of growing. It's part of our evolution. So this particular flower grows in the mud, survives in floods, and can last for like thousands of years. To me, that's a wonderful symbol of being able to come back, to bounce back, being able to rise above, being able to thrive in the sort of the worst situations. So no wonder it's a symbol of sort of like religious context. There's these beautiful sort of pieces of being able to survive and to find that growth and that energy within. Egyptians had a really sort of beautiful story that they weaved around it. So they noticed, and I believe it was a blue lotus for Egypt, but they noticed how this blue lotus would open and close with the sun every day. And they associated, of course, then with not just Ra, but also death and rebirth. There's a particular god associated with it. Nefertem, I think, is the way you would say that. And it was the god of this lotus blossom, but also like fragrance as well. I think it could be called that as well. His name means one who does not close, although just depending on the translation, it was also one who does not open. So it's sort of like, again, death and rebirth. So this sort of opening and closing. It reminds us to keep an open mind, though. And we'll talk about this in a second, but the crown chakra, interestingly enough, is a 1,000-petal lotus blossom. So we have to keep opening ourselves up because we start kind of closed, and it's the unfurling that is this sort of human lifetime and existence. This particular god, Nefertem, was born from a blue lotus bud, which emerged from the waters of Nun at the dawn of creation. Basically, he started at the beginning of the world, and he wept in his loneliness. And those tears that he wept were the seeds of humanity, which is a beautiful story as well. What I wanted to kind of really focus on, though, is according to the myth, he was born with each sunrise, matured at midday, and then at the end of the day, he died and passed into the underworld. And this cycle repeated each and every day, which is a reminder to us that we can recreate ourselves. We can be reborn with each day. We can either hold on to the dirt, to the mud, to the stuff that didn't work out, or we can push up, rise above, and do something new with the new day. And it's so important because I'm sure many of you had a difficult, yesterday, whatever it is, depending on when you watch this. So this message is for you. Today's a different day. Tomorrow's, if you're watching it at the end of a bad day, tomorrow's a different day. Put to bed whatever it is tonight that upsets you. You are valid in your frustration and your sadness and your anger, but let's not carry that into the new day. Let's reset tomorrow. Let's do something about it. Let's do something different. Let's not just sit in that energy. And that's basically what I took from that beautiful story, myth. Also, the fact that the 7th chakra is our crown chakra is really important, and it's associated with that lotus petal opening. So for you, you want to take time to open up. The way that I actually had a spiritual awakening is there were parts of my energy system that awakened before the others, and I actually did have a crown awakening before everything else was balanced out. You don't want to do that because it's too much information. You need to have that root system that the lotus has. You need to have like the trunk and the roots that a tree would have so that you can take in that energy. So don't rush things. Really take time to take care of yourself, to ground yourself, to focus on what matters. And then be open, stay open. Once you've gone through those muddy waters of life, then you're going to open yourself up to a higher calling, to something bigger, and don't be kind of pushed back down. This is your chance. Once you come out, it's like a jack in the box. You're not going to put it back in. It needs to stay out. You need to reach higher. And so wherever you're at, it's just about pushing to the next level and not feeling like things are weighing you down. Okay. So the crown chakra is amazing because once you start to open that, let's say you've done all the work, you've started to ground yourself, you're starting to meditate, you're starting to feel an awakening or a calling. Same thing here. You can't really close that down once it started to open. And you'll start to get a lot of clarity, not just in clairvoyance, but you just start to understand what's worth worrying about, what isn't. It gives you this sense of ease. So today we'll focus on how you can stay open, how you can ground yourself, because the two go hand in hand. And we'll also see for some of you what your higher calling might be, okay? I want you to set your frequency or your intention to be able to receive things this month. Receiving insight coming through the crown chakra, but also just receiving, like the ace cards, being able to receive love, being able to receive money, insight, or to be able to take action, to be inspired. I basically went through all the elements in my head. Trust yourself. This is going to be the hardest piece as you start to receive. Do I deserve this? Am I hearing what I think I'm hearing? Is this right? Trust yourself. And then trust may factor in a very big way when it comes to relationships this month. And that's something that you'll have to kind of pay attention to. If it's a good thing, then you know you can trust the person. If a 7 of Swords moment comes up, then you know what you have to work on. Be honest with yourself as well. Trust what you need to do. I think that's key. Listen to the inner voice. Don't let others drown it out. Reclaim yourself, okay? Reclaim that sort of path that you want, maybe that you lost because someone said you couldn't or shouldn't or wouldn't be able to do it. The next and most important piece, I think, actually, is just a general note that came through in meditation, which was the importance of setting boundaries. And boundaries, it's easier said than done. It may take a few practice runs to be able to articulate yourself or to push back on people. So whether it's a family member that constantly leans on you to the point that you're exhausted, or you're talking on the phone with a friend, and after the call, it just feels like you're exhausted and they're never kind of doing the same for you. You can't just call them and chat. We need to see reciprocity. We need to sort of see limits when it comes to time, energy, love, money, all the different types of resources. No is a simple word, but a powerful one. And it can help you in that reclamation process. So is yes, by the way. We focus on no, but say yes to the things you really want to say yes to. And then as a sort of result, you'll know exactly where you need to push back and say no, or not yet, or maybe next week. There's a lot of ways to say no that are not a flat out no. And then stand your ground. All of this awakening, all of this downloading, all of this opening up is so that you can do what you want to do and be strong and be able to walk in that path. So just looking at these cards, what I'm seeing is that the big opportunity for you this month is to stay open, to receive, to start to basically kind of go on to a new path, walk away from something, push up to the next level. I don't see you going down. I don't see you being challenged in a way that you can't handle, it's quite the reverse. I just think that the thing that you have to do is trust yourself and stay open. If you can stay open, I think some really exciting things are going to come through. No matter what you do for a living, what relationship status you have, I see new things opening up for you. So I can't wait to look at the cards here in a moment and see what those openings or those beginnings are. And I think that's a great segue into getting into that. So let me stack up all of these index cards. A reminder, if you want to read these later, I will post them on social media. So if you want to follow me, my social media accounts are here. I'm going to put the link up in just a second before I get into the cards in just a second here. And also, if you want to look at me on Twitter, it's a slightly different handle. So almost everywhere, it's just my name at Nicholas Ashbaugh. Twitter, it's Ashbaugh. So again, I'll post a link here in a second where you can get all of that. And then basically, I will put these cards on my social media platform so you can read them later. I still need to do mine from Sunday, so I'll do today's and Sunday's probably later this afternoon. So welcome everyone. How are you doing today? If you joined a little bit late, like I said, we're going to be having fun with the format today. There's not going to be a review at the center. Instead, we're going to do blessings, blocks, and a viewer's choice. And I'll just do what I did right there, which is to kind of pick a big idea. And you can let me know in the comments once this is on replay if you like that. I like to try new things. That's the way the channel grows. All right, so actually before I do this, let me go ahead and quickly put a link so that you can connect with me if you'd like to on social media, etc. So here we go. Here's my website, and here's a link to all of my different platforms. So 1 second here, there you go. And I'll pin that so that you can see that later. Okay, so let me focus now on the messages at hand, and I will rejoin you in just a moment. You can use this, by the way, for sun, rising, moon, Venus, or really if you know any aspect of your chart, it'll work for that. The beginning messages, you're always welcome to come to all of my readings, even if you're not sure where your placements are, because I do pull in messages for everybody. But I'm going to be focusing specifically right now on Aries to see what is coming through. So let's take a look. Interesting. Interesting. This makes a lot of sense because of the cycle energy that was coming through with the Lotus. So let's see how that plays into it. I like this card because it has both death and rebirth on it. So let's see. Plant a seed of intention. Perfect. All right, so we're already seeing some synchronicities here. And we have a lotus blossom. Okay, lots of synchronicities already. The other one that I was going to talk about today was the dragonfly, and I might save that for tomorrow because that came to me. But we've got the dragonfly sitting right there. Got a riverbed in this one as well. Lots of water coming through for you, Aries, today. Lots of movement. Movement and relationship energy for sure coming through. And changes, of course. All right. Let's see how we can kind of pull this all together for you. So hold on a second. So we have plant seeds of intention, go, grow, and glow. And this card was reversed, but it's okay. This is basically just saying it's time to rise up. And you can see it's this beautiful sort of blossom right here. Looks like it might be a lotus right there as well. And this is a chance for you to connect with divine feminine energy. So we all have access to it. It doesn't matter if you identify as male, female, or non-binary. We all have the capacity to sort of go into the yin and yang energy. And divine feminine is about nurturing ourselves, nurturing something that we care about, seeing things that we care in our life sort of take root and grow. So you should be focusing on development, healing, growth, nurturing. This can also be a good card for starting a new business, for going back to school, some sort of growth or development, anything but stagnation. And the seeds of intention, I think I actually put that word on one of these cards, but I wanted you to, well, I said set the frequency, but when I verbally talked about it, I said set your intention on receiving. So I want that to be one of your intentions, receiving love and abundance in the highest forms, plus whatever else you want. Open up to the various aces that want to come through into your life right now, okay? Beautiful energy, developing, unfurling, growing, one step at a time, one petal at a time, okay? So hopefully that helps you. We have now at the center a perspective card, which is going to be super important right now. We have the Five of Cups. I always like to remind folks that depending on the card that you're looking at, usually we see 3 that have been spilled and 2 that are by the person. So I definitely can see partnership energy, a new ace or a new opportunity coming in into your life. But the first thing that you have to do is to kind of look at what has passed through your life over the past week, the past month, the past year, depending on how tumultuous things have been. But what we see here is, in this particular deck, if you ever look at the Magician card, it's this very same sort of vortex energy, but the person's using it as a well of creation. So letting some things go is going to allow you to really focus on what matters. And if we look at these 2 cups, they're much larger, this cup in particular. So some of this stuff was just something that you had to go through. So keep a perspective on the opportunities. Don't cry over the spilled milk. Instead, look at what you can still access, what you can do about it. And I think that's going to be important, because guess what? The card that's crossing that is the Three of Wands, which shows me that good things are already starting to happen as a result of your own hard work, maybe even to help rectify and balance out some of the other stuff. Karma always has a way of balancing. So I see balance happening for you. With this Three of Wands, we see a lovely surfer, and she's very active. She's going there before the ships have even started to come in, because she hears the calling. So many of you may see something before the actual visual representation comes in, because there should be ships on this. But her kind of using the surfboard is a metaphor of the fact that she can meet the ship halfway. She can actually start some of the action and the work ahead of all of this. And that's going to only amplify the success in the future. So good things are already happening. Shift here from the Five of Cups into the Three of Wands and look around. Tap into that. Start to expect good things, and they'll start to happen faster because that energy is already knocking on your sort of virtual door, okay? We have the Knight of Pentacles in the deep past. The card is reversed. So for many of you, there is this feeling of like, why? Why is it taking so long? Why are others getting this first? Why hasn't it happened yet? Have I done something wrong? And the answer is no. There is divine timing at play. And for some of you, you might be called to walk away from something. The universe may be giving you sort of the push that you need. Sometimes when we are stagnating at a job, in a relationship, or in some aspect of our life, we need a little push from the universe. So sometimes that's in the form of a pink check, a pink slip, basically saying, you know, your job is no longer here. Sometimes that's someone breaking up with us. Sometimes it's a note from our, apartment owner saying, we're gonna use this property for something else. You have 3 months and you have to find a new place. Those are all kind of like tower type events, but they're there because maybe the universe knew if that didn't happen, there would be no way that we would make the change happen on our own. So do me a favor this month with the energy of the Three of Wands. I feel like over the next quarter of the year here, next 3 months or so, you could start to call in your own change, make things happen. You don't have to wait for a tower to happen. So start to be proactive, invest in yourself. Whenever I see a Pentacles card, particularly a court one, where it's reversed, I look at what you can do to work on yourself. This is a patience card as much as anything else. So be patient with yourself and then decide, am I taking enough action? Is there something that I could do, like we see here in the Three of Wands, where I could get a little bit closer to what I'm trying to accomplish rather than waiting for it to come to me? And if you can, then definitely do it. Some of you may decide to take some of the resources you have, reinvest it or shift it around a little bit. And if it feels right, then do it. We have the Page of Swords here in the recent past. This is a really good card, which for many of you that are watching live may actually indicate the month ahead, the midpoint. Page of Swords can show good news en route, and also the ability for your message to be carried a little bit further. But what's really interesting on this particular card is she's walking a tightrope, or this sort of like little twig almost that she's going across. One thing that she's not worrying about, she's not looking down at all of the risk, all of the frustration, all the things that might kind of pull you down. She's trying to stay focused on facts. She's trying to keep her idea sort of in flight and moving. And then she's working with people that are receptive to that. So I think all of those things are important. If you are talking to someone that kind of like has cotton in their ears, isn't listening, that's the wrong person. They're not ready to receive. They're not the advocate that you need. Move around them, find someone else. If you are also in a place or a relationship where the partner just kind of cuts you off or just doesn't let you be a part of that giving and receiving process, then you deserve more. And I think that you're going to have a chance this month if you look around for a new opportunity or a new relationship or something that is more receptive to your energy, you might find it. So start to look at that. But the first thing that you have to think about as we look in the rising card, or the card in the top here, is basically saying, what's going on in your head? Are you wrapping your head around change, movement, and growth? If you are, good. If you're not, you may be stuck in this feeling of this is it. And this is it can be two different things. You can settle for something because you think this is as good as it will get. This is it. You could also think that because something was taken away that you're not going to be able to reclaim something or get back there. So let's go back into the beginning when I was talking about the lotus blossom and that sort of myth of the Egyptian god that each and every day was reborn and then each and every night returned to the underworld. So we all have that chance each and every day to be reborn. And things come and go in our lives, but we can always recreate. We can always step into something, step into the unknown. This is a very positive death card. Through the lens of, or through the shroud of death's cape here, we see a new tomorrow. We see a new dawn. So it's exactly what I was just talking about. But you have to let something go in order to go there. Or you have to release something, a fear or an inhibition that might be somehow slowing you down, because this card was reversed. We want to see knights upright, so movement happens quicker, okay? So I see positive change, but change that's going to require you to go with the flow, to release, to think I can do that, okay? And I think you're going to be all right. Sometimes you might just be ahead of yourself. Sorry, the death card is upright. So I think that's going to be really, really important. I love to see a card like transformation. I wish it was actually called transformation in your spread, but we have rebirth on this. So death and rebirth, movement, transformation, definitely what we're seeing with like the lotus petal that we were talking about earlier, the lotus blossom. All right. Near future, things that will be affecting you as you move from this month into next month, or as we kind of get toward October, we have the Seven of Pentacles. And patience is a big part of this one. And then also healing is a big part of this one. Seven of Pentacles can come through not just for financial growth and healing, but also for our body. So if you've just gone through something difficult, possibly even like a physical loss of someone in your life, let's say, a parent or a loved one passed, takes time. And this is about just finding new ways to take care of yourself during that period. Financially and physically, this can also indicate, yes, you're going to heal. Yes, I see movement and growth. Don't overdo things, though. The one thing that can take the Seven of Pentacles and pull it into the wrong direction is overextension. So like if you've just started to get your money in a good position, you don't want to spend too much money on a luxury item or commit to a lease that's too expensive. If you've just started to heal your body, you don't want to necessarily go head on into really difficult sports. You have to ease into all of these things that are going to require stretching. Don't overstretch or it breaks. That's the main message with the Seven of Pentacles. There's usually a test from the universe to not overextend. As long as you pace yourself and learn your lessons and apply them, then you get to the 8, 9, 10 of Pentacles, which are great. There's nothing bad with them. This is the last tricky card in Pentacles for the most part. Everything else is smooth sailing. So you can get through this from what I can see. And for many of you, it may not be a money issue. It's more like time and energy. How much can I give? Should I give? And you may have just experienced, something like that where you talk to someone and it wasted time, or you feel like you look back at a relationship and you think, I spent 5 years with that person. Why did I do that, or whatever? Everything for a reason. You're just going to decide to be smarter and more discerning as you move forward. And then the lessons of the Seven of Pentacles are integrated, and abundance follows. And that's all you need to focus on. We have a page card in reverse, the Page of Cups. Lots of water coming through in symbols for you, especially when we get to the expanded forecast in a moment. I really do feel like it's a good month to invest, to heal, and to focus on your relationship health. It doesn't have to be with a partner. It can be with parents, with children in your life if you're a parent. It can also be with friends or just coworkers, but relationships matter. For some of you, you feel like you're being left behind. We see this other person kind of like up in the air in a different realm. And with you reversed here, it's sort of like, hey, where do I stand in this? Or why is this person or all these people around me seeming to kind of get up to that next level? You're already there if you allow yourself. If we look really close here, I also see someone in your life that's ready to give you love or lift you up. So look around, be open to that, and think, if not this person, then maybe someone else, maybe someone that's truly ready, okay? It feels like one of the challenges for some of you is just to kind of clear out some toxicity in your environment, because this card came through in the environment. So the Three of Swords can be someone around you that maybe says something that just really gets under your skin, or you listen to them and there's constantly sort of like just negative narrative. It can also be a co-working situation where the morale is lower than you wish it was, and that kind of eats away at you. To me, it seems like it's like word of mouth or actions around you. So do your best to separate yourself from that. And if you are going through any pain, because again, you lost someone or something, maybe you need to pull back a little bit and just work on healing yourself, because the Seven of Pentacles will come through to help mend this broken heart or this disappointment. Don't let the disappointment of others around you take away any victories or any positive strides that you've made. On the flip side of that, because that's an important thing. You do not have to absorb all of that. What I do see is the crown chakra here with the High Priestess. So for many of you, as we're looking at opportunities this month, once you go through the change, you're going to start to receive things through whatever transformation that is. You're going to start to receive new things. And I want you to be open to what you feel is right for you. Definitely intuitive development is coming through. Some of you are doing a great job of stepping into sort of intuitive development. So I'm happy to see that. The other thing here is this is a natural card for healing. So some of you may even be called into a path of healing, whether it's being a doctor, a nurse, or you want to work in some sort of a new age or metaphysical sort of healing capacity as well. This can definitely be a part of that, or acupuncture, any sort of Eastern medicine. So I like this overall. There's nothing bad with the High Priestess, especially when she's in opportunities. Listen to yourself, trust yourself, manifest this month. Don't feel afraid to kind of step into that creative energy. It's there, it's ready, okay? There are two cards here. Like, again, we just talked about the Three of Swords, and now we have 10 of Swords, but it's reversed. And this is possibly one of the best 10 of Swords you could get, because the person has overcome the challenge. They're walking away from it. They're not on the floor with 10 swords in their back and a pool of blood around them like the normal Rider-Waite-Smith deck. We see echoes from the past coming in, and this card is reversed to remind you, I've been through that. I've walked through that. I don't need to go into that sort of energy again. So some of the Seven of Pentacles could be guilt because you're doing better than someone else. It could also be fear that you're going to experience pain or uncertainty again. And the truth of the matter is, change is happening, movement and sort of higher learning is happening here. So this is gone, and it's time to let it go. The other thing is to walk away from a no-win situation, whether it is an argument that someone is trying to incite, whether it is a relationship that has served its purpose, likewise with a job, something in your life. I really feel like you finally had enough and you're okay. You're not walking away broken on this one, but this shows me a full stop and a new beginning. This shows me that these two together show me like no more tears, basically. No more tears, no more fears either, because there's too much development and growth on the horizon for you, right? And you've already started to make positive strides. So I like that. Let's move to the expanded forecast. We're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny, and get a better feeling for what's coming through. All right. I love it when there's a complete synchronicity with what I was talking about. So this card was reversed, but I want to show it upright. It says dragonfly, emergence, and then of course what we see right in front of this woman coming from the lake is all these sort of lotus blossoms, and we see the growth around her, and we see a lovely dragonfly. Dragonflies, much like butterflies or moths, are wonderful symbols of movement. And this one, this doesn't definitely, it's not the same sort of transformation, but I think I remembered that they move from the water to air. So they start as a nymph phase in the water, and they come out, and they still have like a pupa phase, if I remember. Don't quote me, but I've done these totems a few times. So I think there's a transformation phase for this particular insect. So it still goes through a shift, and it goes from murky to air. So we're going from water to air. That's one of the things that I'm seeing here. Going from this sort of emotional state into action. And I think this is the ultimate symbol of action because it can spread its wings, it can fly. And whenever I see a dragonfly or a hummingbird, really auspicious symbols of higher energy coming through saying it's going to be okay. That's usually what I get in my head when I see either of these two. It's going to be fine. So my message here when we're looking at your health and well-being is it's going to be fine. And you're emerging from maybe a difficult period. We can see it with the 3 and the 10 of swords. When we're looking at your health, we're going to talk about those two symbols more here. But what I'm going to say is whatever you're dealing with, you're going to be able to get through that. And we see more than we see like 3 different dragonflies. So there's a lot of 3s coming through the 3 of wands as well. So 3 months of changing and shifting when it comes to health and well-being. All right, so let's go a little deeper into some of the cards here with respect to your health. So as we look at the spread here, I would say, I really want you to focus on any stress that you're carrying in your life. For some of you, there's a higher sensitivity or even sort of an area in your body where we're looking at like your heart, your blood pressure, and your blood sugar. All of these things could kind of put you at a higher risk. So I don't want that to happen. Sorry, this card got a little wet from my water. I want to dry it off before it gets damaged. Okay, so I want you to focus on really being open to healing yourself and not letting any of that get in the way. So you have to be happy. You have to be open to sort of like allowing yourself to grow. And the heart in and of itself, though, some of you need to focus on heart health. So if you had a heart attack or a stroke, this part of your body's coming through saying, pay attention to me. Don't forget about this. This is important. The 10 of swords can be chronic pain or fatigue. It can also be stress in your life. And it's a reminder that whatever you need to do to alleviate that stress, not only from a heart and body perspective, but if you're having any sort of chronic pain or fatigue, that's going to kind of eat away at your just ability to focus. So take care of yourself. If anything's hurting, talk to a doctor, talk to a psychologist, get some help. This can just be stress and pain. This can also be the stress and pain of loss, death, or a breakup. So those sorts of things just take time to heal overall. And you're going to be able to do that. Trust me, sometimes it just takes longer than you'd like, but you can do that. All right, so that's the main energy coming through with the dragonfly, is to just focus on gently working towards that healing, and things are going to be okay. All right, let me see if there's anything else coming through. Wake up call. So some of you have had a close brush with death or disappointment or loss. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen because this is just in the crowning position here. So because it's in the crowning position, just think about how you can change or improve from there and come back and focus more on the rebirth message rather than what was lost or what you nearly lost. Overall, I like what I see here when it comes to health messages, okay? So let's take a look at wealth. We have fellow travelers. It says support is all around you. So when we're looking at money and career this month, tap into the resources that you've built in your life, including that professional network that you've really worked hard to create. It's important and it's there for a reason. So definitely tap into that if you're ready. The other thing here we're seeing here is the peacock, which was a symbol that I talked about recently. So it's important to not sort of fade into the woodwork here. You want to not be a wallflower, but step in to your power and say, yeah, I'm ready to be seen. I'm ready to be heard. And this is a card that's saying it's important not to sort of fade away there. We also see the sort of riverbed here, which is movement as well, and the rainbow as well. So for many of you, this movement, this change that you're doing in your life, it may be a little bit difficult. It may even be a little bit hard to be seen, but it's going to be important. And this is star energy whenever I see this as well, when I look at the peacock, because it's something that you can't help but notice. So don't be afraid to be seen. Okay. Let's look at your money cards. You have basically the 7 of Pentacles here coming through saying growth and recovery. We'd love to see more of that, though. I love to see more than just the 7 of Pentacles. I like to see, like, we have the Knight here in the deep past, but this is the one in the near future. So for some of you, you may just be deciding, like, was this investment worth it? Am I getting what I need to out of the situation? You and only you can basically decide if that's what you want or need. But I do think that you're going to be okay, because this is still trending in the right direction. So maybe just juggling things a bit and opening up to receiving more. Don't be afraid to ask for more if you need it. When I'm looking at a work situation, though, some of you may be at a point where there's no choice but to move on. And when we're looking at, this can also be a big and important change in your life. So buying a house, moving in with someone, proposing to someone, because it's death of old self and a birth of a new self. And with that, there's a big investment that's coming through as well. So I do see a lot of time and energy going towards things this month. So take care of yourself. That's why I think some of the health cards popped up, like the 3 and the 10 of Swords. So this can be, again, discomfort, unhappiness. This can be chronic pain. So make sure that you're okay as you're putting a lot of new energy towards new things. Okay. Traveling. Some of you may need to expand your horizons, look beyond the borders for a new job, for a new opportunity, and you'll be okay. You're supported in that path if you decide to do that. Okay. Let's take a look at love. So this one says, be willing to express love. When we express love, we begin to receive more love. Of course, you have to put yourself out there before things will come in. And we have just a lovely card here showing all the energy of the water, which is something that we've been seeing a lot in your reading, even though that's not your element. You might be put into this new element of expressing yourself. And some of you might have, some Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces in your chart. And this is just telling you to embrace that creative side. But everybody has the capacity to express themselves, not just water signs. So put yourself there, say something that it said be willing to express yourself, express love in particular. So this can just simply be a friend in your life going through a hard time to say, if you need anything, know that I love you, know that I care about you. We don't always hear that from our friends. You hear it from a select few, but it's nice to hear. And it's not weird when you know that that person is just expressing it in the way that a family member would. Like, and you can even just say that, I love you like family. And if there's anything you need, I'm here for you. It's a nice thing. Usually people don't recoil from that. You can also just say, you mean a lot. I care about you. What do you need? However you want to express it, I think that's going to be important. If it gets like crickets, then you know that that person doesn't feel the same, and that frees you to not have to spend time and energy investing yourself in that person, place, or thing. Let me see if there's anything else that we need to focus on. Okay, so we're going to look at this from 3 perspectives. We're going to look at it from those of you in a relationship, looking for a relationship, single, and happy. So let's focus on those in a relationship. What I see is one partner or the other, either you or your partner, may be sort of lost a little bit at the beginning of the month, focusing on like really wanting something better to happen, but it feels like there's this wall in front of you between you and the next thing. Something that I actually saw when I was doing the weekly reading, which is on my main page if you didn't look at it. So for those of you that are feeling like you're up against that wall, the thing that builds the wall between you and your partner is not talking. So communication has to open up, and it has to be non-combative. I think it's important to be open, but the number one thing in present relationships that could get in the way of happiness is fighting or saying hurtful things or not kind of like being fully present for the other partner. What's possible this month is healing, growth, and actually being able to truly see each other maybe for something that you didn't realize before, learning something about that person that makes you respect them or have more compassion for them. There's a revealing that needs to happen, a change. The mask or the the shroud here on transformation needs to come off. So whatever that is for some of you, you just need to kind of like open up. So there's an opening and a communication improvement that needs to happen for existing relationships this month. Definitely some conversations about money and investments is something that might need to come up as well. So just be honest and be open, and instead of pointing fingers if there is sort of debt or financial struggles, then just figure out how you're going to fix it together. Overall, these two cards can actually show going in the right direction. So this is change, and this is change for the better. Let's attach to that. Let's realize that the important thing is to have a good perspective, to not make it all about you or the other person, to keep the communication open, and to talk about things that scare you, that make you nervous. I think the more transparent, the more open you are, the better the chance you have for this to continue to grow, okay? But there are a few challenges around money and communication, and it looks like one of the partners is going through some stuff emotionally. So be there for one another, whether you're the partner in need or your partner's the one in need. Communicate what you want, what you need, and let them know that you love them, okay? And then also I think, and even just trying to figure out where they're headed or where their head is at, it's going to be important. What are they intending? What are they trying to call in? All right, for those of you looking for love, it might be a little challenging this month. I'm going to be honest with you. We have options coming through, especially with the Page of Cups, but this is also you. So for many of you, you have to truly see your worth this month and see yourself as more than enough, as viable, as ready, and secure. But it feels like changes and stability are important. So some of you are just stepping in or out of something. So if you're on the rebound, I think focus on you right now. If you're not on the rebound, if you're okay, it also feels like you might have this influx of creative ideas, of energy, almost to the point where you almost feel like you're, almost a little bit hyper. What do I do with this? So find a channel for some of that first. If there's something left after that, then yes, you can put some more energy into partnership. Communication across the board. I don't care if you're in love, looking for love, or just not focused on it. That's going to be the most important thing is, I think some of you would just benefit from venting to a friend, talking to a therapist, or finding a creative outlet first to clear the waters, to clear your head. And then I think it's going to be a lot easier for you. So across the board areas, I think health, well-being, and healing are going to have to take center stage. If you're looking for love, though, you may be calling in a really high partner that's going to be able to help you through some of that. But they're going to see where you're at. So try to do the work so that when you meet that person, there's not a lot of cleanup to do, and it'll be easier, okay? Again, it could be a water sign coming through for you based on all the water that I'm seeing. For those of you that are not looking for love this month, I actually see that this would be a really good chance to create. We have Death and we have the High Priestess, two really good cards for taking things and rebuilding them and remolding them. So by all means, step into that ability to try something new this month. And if you do meet someone by chance, this will be someone that you would see coming, and you would be able to also figure out what to do with that relationship. So if you're not focused on love, you still may be able to see it coming or see something happening on the horizon. And I think that's key. But with all the healing cards this month, I think it's important for you to focus on setting goals, figuring out what's next, and getting yourself in a good sort of grounded state. I want to see you growing before you kind of like step into relationships too much more. But listen, someone else may feel exactly the way you do, so don't be afraid to let them know, okay? So overall, pretty good, but you have some healing to do within first, and I'm always honest with what I see, so that's what I see. All right, looking at the overall trajectory here, we have the mouse spirit. It says, look at the little things or tend to the small things. And mice are very interesting. I did kind of pull them in as a totem animal earlier last month, and one of the things that I do remember with them is the way that they communicate. We only hear the little beeps and the little chirps, but they have subtle forms of communication out of our hearing range. So when it comes to the communication that I've been talking to you about a lot over the course of the next 6 to 8 weeks, I think listen to what someone's trying to say without saying it. So there's subtlety to their form of communication. Maybe they're using nonverbals. Maybe the words that they're saying, the tone that they're using, it doesn't match. So you know that if they say they're good, they're actually not good. Or if you see them sighing or see them kind of like just pulling in a little bit, you know that something's up. So trust the subtle nonverbal and even just what those communications, and also just what you're picking up on your third eye, because that's going to be so valuable and it's going to help you. Okay. So there you go. Today, we're not going to do a big review. I'm going to give you what I'm going to call the big idea. And then we're going to go into blessings, block, and a viewer's choice. So stay tuned. There's more coming. So the big idea is change. When we look at the crowning card, it's all about change and movement. So are you ready to change? Are you holding on to the past? Are you ready to step into that new doorway, that new window? The big idea is change. The big opportunity is growth and development. Once you allow yourself to see something different and you step into that energy that we talked about with the Lotus, each new day is like a chance to be reborn. And each night we can put to rest the difficulties, the frustrations, the mistakes, et cetera, from the day before. Once you can kind of step into that mind of the Lotus, then all of a sudden, wow, possibilities step in. And then the third big idea is growth. But growth takes time. What we look at here is sort of, it's a cutting, right? So to me, it looks like he cut something off a vine, almost like, wine or something like, so maybe these are grape leaves. So so you took a little start, you put it in the ground, it takes a while. It's gonna be a long time before this is some big, bush or tree or a grapevine. It takes a while to grow. So if you've just started to prune things back or try something new, or you're trying to rebound, give yourself time, you're on the right path. Keep nurturing it. So put your mind into the energy of change, allow yourself to grow and shift slowly, and you might be surprised by what comes through if you do that. The only things holding you back are communication or pain or fear. So whatever you need to do to alleviate those things, that's the key. Okay. So now let's go into the next part of the reading. We're going to focus on blessings, blocks, and a viewer's choice. So this is different from my normal format, but I think it's important. So I didn't mean to actually clear all the cards, so let me put them back. Just in case I need to reference them, I'll have them here. So as we do this, just really quick here, there we go. What I want you to focus on for the blessing of the month is the blessing is going to be something that's going to help you, kind of like the catalyst. Focus on what you can put your energy into. So we already talked about the energy of change being important. So with the energy of change, how can you what is the opportunity for change? How is this going to bless you, even if it isn't something that you wanted? All right. So blessing. Ace of Pentacles. So when something leaves, something new comes through. And if you think you're done, you're not done. There's actually going to probably be this challenge happening for you. It's a blessing and a challenge where you're going to have to figure out how do I juggle a couple of things. So open yourself up to having this good sort of problem, which is, hey, something new is coming into my life. What do I do about that? How am I going to, maybe I can have more than I can handle. I might have to ask for help or hire help or whatever. So I see a new opportunity knocking on the door, a new job, new love, new something. This is definitely interest in you, investment in you, and you also may be offering something to someone and they're interested in what you have to offer. So that's the blessing amidst all of these changes. Let's look at what the block is, what could be holding you back from all of these changes. So the potential block as we look at the next 6 to 8 weeks, basically the energy of October, is getting lost in the shuffle, losing perspective when it comes to work, fatigue or burnout, and not seeing how all of this is kind of connecting you to something higher. You don't want to lose your flame, your fire, your power, your energy. This is really important for you, Aries, in particular. What we see here with this Five of Wands are people that could probably be working together a little bit smarter. Everybody's reaching for the same thing. Some people are left falling. Some people are looking in the wrong direction. Wouldn't it be so much more powerful if almost like cheerleaders, they were holding each other up so that that top person could pull that energy down and share it? So rather than competition, wouldn't it be so much more powerful if we had collaboration, if we had cooperation? I think that that's a key piece that's kind of missing here. So the blessing is an opportunity. And we can kind of even see you might be reaching for that ace up there. The pitfall is that people might be competing for that when in fact that you all are on the same page. So try to work together, teamwork rather than sort of competition. And then also, if you're just feeling burned out, getting back into the big picture. Why am I doing this? It's a good question, right? All right, now you get to participate in this. So let me get the poll ready. So what I'd like to do right now is offer you a chance to let me know what you want. So give me a second here. We're going to do a viewer's choice. I picked some things that I think would be good and they actually match with it today. So the first one's going to be new cycles. And the second one is going to be things that you can release or what to release. We'll look at calling in love, because I know some of you might be trying to do that. Calling in wealth, which fits because we had that sort of message around resources. So here we go. What? Okay, so we'll just do viewer's choice. All right, so there we go. I'm going to give you a chance to vote. You can tell me what you want me to focus on, and I'll give you a minute or two. If you're watching it on replay, this is something more for folks here that are watching it live. Let me know if you can see it. I haven't seen anything yet. There we go. Calling in wealth is winning by a large margin right now. I'm going to give everyone a chance to vote while you're looking at that. So let's see, we've got about 35% for calling in wealth, 30% for new cycles. What to release is about 20. I'll give you another second or two here. Now, new cycles is winning. All right, so let's see if you want, let's see if there's anyone else. There's only 37 votes, and there's 322 people here. So I'd like to see it get to at least like 70, just to make sure that we're getting something. Enough of you. All right, got about 48, 50. All right, just for the sake of time and fluidity here, we're gonna end the poll here. So new cycles won. So we're gonna take a look at how to create new cycles in your life, and let's see what's coming through. Thank you, everyone that voted. All right, new cycles. And there we see the winning, just by a few percent, new cycles. Or no, wait, actually, finally, was it calling in wealth at the end? Calling in wealth. Okay, so calling in wealth won. All right. Just by a couple points. All right, calling in wealth. So how can we focus on more money, more abundance? Because I'm going to look at this more in a sort of like resource way as well. So wealth and money and abundance. Okay, Seven of Wands. It's Seven of Wands reversed. So I think we can even pull a little bit of this into cycles since it was so close, but in wealth in particular, don't force it. Notice how zen this particular Seven of Wands character is. This person is willing to just sort of sit there, be open, receive, and if a door will not completely open, she knows better than to push it open. So when you're looking at a job, if you've been on like 3 or 4 or 5 interviews and they still can't make their mind up, that place does not have good leadership. It's not some, at some point it's no longer an honor to keep being called back. It's a signal that they don't know what they're trying to find. So usually by the 3rd interview, you should land the position. And if you're not, then they don't know what they want. If you are also in a place where you've been trying to break through, we're looking at wealth. So we'll look at people that are in a job first. So if you've been in a job and you've asked repeatedly, how about this particular opportunity? Why can't I get this? And they keep just pushing you back. Also, it's a sign they're not valuing you. You could do a lot better. You don't need to be there. And if we're looking at anything in your life, a cycle as well, the same is true. You shouldn't have to force it. So don't force things that don't need or want to happen. The other thing on this one is perseverance. So when you're working on yourself, the Seven of Wands and the Seven of Pentacles have a close connection. So this is just saying when it comes to financial recovery, whether you're retired or a student or mid-career, this is saying keep working hard. So I'm not telling you to give up. I'm telling you that if you continually get pushed from one place, look to the right, look to the left, look above, there's something else that's more receptive. You could try that. When you're working on a long-term goal, don't give up. Keep pushing towards that. That's where you want to keep the hard work happening. I think that's nowhere. It's good to sort of work hard and push, and where you want to retreat and put the energy elsewhere. With the Seven of Wands, there's always a chance to be more intelligent about the way you're working smarter, not harder. So I think that you could delegate, you could lower your defensive. You don't have to be so defensive. So if somebody asks you a question, don't assume it's because they think you can't do your job. Just say, oh, well, yeah, here's the answer. Just curious, why are you asking? And maybe they were just making sure that, they had all the information, or someone told them to check on you or whatever. So never assume, always kind of get the information before you jump to a conclusion. Don't push in places that you don't need to push. Do push in areas that are going to be worth the energy. So it's intelligent investment of resources. And I think it actually has a nice overlap with cycles. So even those of you that were looking for cycles got your answer there, which is things should be easy or easier than they are. So allow them to be that way. Okay, you don't have to overcompensate either. All right. So I think all of that will help. Okay, let's take a look now at the next portion here. So now, normally I will go into the soul path here. So with the soul path, what I'm going to look at is just some questions that I would have about this. So I'm going to actually make this wild card now, because I feel like with what we just looked at with blessings and blocks, I don't need to ask questions. So I'm going to do 3 wild cards, and I'm just going to say, show us what we need to know based on the questions that have been asked, and then we'll meditate. All right, so we're shaping things up here, sort of like juggling them up a little bit. I hope you enjoy it. So we're just going to do a wild card portion here and say, did we miss anything? And then we're going to go into the meditation. So for the wild card now, I would say one of the most important things that we're looking at, based on kind of like the future beyond October even, the 2 of Swords can be opening yourself up to an unexpected blessing, especially when it's reversed. So again, with opening your mind and opening your perspective, the 2 of Wands is reminding you to make some plans for the future, and then also to not feel like you have to control everything in your life, to be open to new possibilities, to let people come to you. So be open, make some plans, and manage those plans, and try not to manage everyone else's affairs. This is like the homework for you, if you will. Where you need to focus next. I may rename this because we're kind of juggling all of this around a little bit. So I would say incoming energy is what we're looking at there. Things that you could focus on. It's still part of the soul path, but these are things that you should be open to. All right, so let's go ahead and meditate. The meditation will take about 2 minutes, and then we're going to look at your final question for today. The final question can be anything that I didn't cover. We covered a lot of things, but if there was one very specific thing to your life, about a person coming or going, about something that you're really passionate about, think about it while we meditate. And then afterwards, I'll call on the cards and we'll see what the message is. All right, so let me grab my singing bowl here. And because we have that beautiful transformative card at the center, I think we want to work with the energy of transformation. But I think it would be cool to also be working with the Lotus, since that came through as a symbol for today. So let's imagine that we are in sort of this magical pond, seeing beautiful, sort of this beautiful forest around it. But I want you to imagine that you have the capacity to go beneath the water, just like this, almost like a water nymph, right? So you can breathe underwater, but you need to kind of go to the bottom for a moment and look at what's beneath the surface. So for some of you, this is going to reveal things from the past. You could see reflections of people that you used to know, things that you used to do or be. And it's kind of like looking backward in sort of like, if you can imagine, like you could see in the water sort of these shimmers of these images looking backward in time. So I want you to look there for a moment and think, how did I get to this particular instance in time? How did I build myself up to this moment? Or what kind of fell apart that got me here? And what do I want to do about it? And all of these sort of memories rippling around you, they can't hurt you. They can't kind of bring you down. They're just there to kind of show you. And I want you to see now a ripple of what could be in front of you, something positive. You could see in front of you, a potential new relationship or job, some healing, something that you want to see happen in your life. See it starting to take shape and take form, and then see it rise towards the surface. And I want you in this moment to kind of imagine, just like the water lily or the lotus, that you could ground yourself. And then I want you to reach up toward the top of the pond above you. And as you do that, allow your fingers to reach up first, and just like a lotus blossom, kind of open up. And in this moment, say, I'm ready to receive. And as soon as you do that, as soon as you say or intend that, imagine that you feel this push upward from the earth, and you are now kind of flying up into the sky like a phoenix, and you have shifted through, you've pushed through the barriers of the past. You're like an ace card too, like the Ace of Cups, receiving, starting to understand things from a higher perspective. But feeling the freedom that you have now, you're not tethered to the earth, you're not tethered with your fears, you're not weighted down by that watery energy. I want you now to feel the freedom of being above ground, and you can see yourself as a bird, as a firefly, as a dragonfly, whatever you'd like to. See yourself flying, see yourself free, and decide where do you want to go. We'll meditate for a minute, and then I will look at your final card and final question. Remember the lesson that we learned earlier, that each day is a clean slate. I want you to leave this meditation thinking you can do anything. If you didn't do it today, tomorrow's a new chance. If it takes a couple of days, it doesn't matter. Keep trying, keep moving, keep pushing, keep reaching, just like that blossom, and then become that flying symbol, whatever it was that you decided to choose in your own totem. So this is your new chance. This is your new start. Let yesterday go. Let tomorrow be. And today, just be happy that you're here and receiving, okay? Open up your eyes if you haven't already done so. Let's take a look now at your final question for today. I want you to focus on something that you need to know, and just hold it in your mind, hold it in your heart. Let's see what the message is. Yes, it's a yes. We have the World card, and this World card is all about expansion. And it's a nice complement to the Death, Rebirth, Transformation card. So this was a necessary shift, and this is the expansion that takes place. This is the rebound. This is the recovery. This is the open door. So if something was closed, something is opening. This is a card for those of you that would be in business of being globalized, in international sort of work, publication, distribution, dissemination. So this is about outreach. So if there's something that you want to share, to sell, to somehow produce, this is a definite yes for that. You may need to move in order to achieve what you want. So you might have to move to a new country, or you might need to produce in a new country, or you might need to reach out. You may also have someone coming into your life that you've never met before, that might be from a different sort of background. We see change and dispersion and evolution with this card. It's a really good symbol coming through for you, and I like what I see here, okay? So definitely great energy around everything. And for those of you that are also looking at, maybe you just started something new, this can be like a 2-year cycle to the world, 21, just under two years. So we're looking at a nice cycle that's going to lead you into something for a couple of years. So if you just started something, it looks good. If you just ended something, remember what we talked about, that ace energy was coming through when we looked at the energy of calling in abundance or wealth. So we'll quickly kind of recap the sort of bonus cards here that I looked at. So when we're looking at blessings, there's something that wants to come in. When we're looking at blocks, you just don't want to get lost in the shuffle, which can happen. When we looked at how you can get into that energy of abundance, it's not to force it. And then when we looked here at your soul path, I want you to stay open to be surprised in a happy sort of way, to make some plans, because if you don't make plans, it's hard to manifest. And focus on managing your own life. Sometimes it's easier to tell others what to do. It's harder harder to look within. Finally, all of that is going to lead you towards a path of expansion. So I really like when we kind of look beyond the cards, beyond the sort of energy of what's happening into what's available. Looks pretty good. Really nice stand on the world. So let me know if you like the change in format today. I thought it might be fun to not just go back and review every card that I talked about, instead give you a couple of things. And I might change up that portion in the future with different things. Let me know if you like the polls as well. For those of you that watch it on replay, don't worry. You can just trust that the people that show up live selected it well. It also gives you an incentive to watch the lives. So if you're watching it on a TV or another device, I saw that you're not going to be able to vote. It's only for phones and computers, and it's only for live. But if you like voting and you want to impact what I'm doing, you can always vote for my Sunday collectives. And I give members and Patreon folks a chance to vote a couple times. So there's many chances for you to impact what I'm doing here. And I hope you like that. All right. So let's wrap up and then stick around till the end, and I'll make sure to say thanks to anybody that gave back a little bit. So feel free to follow me on social media. I'm at Nicholas Ashbaugh just about everywhere except Twitter, where I'm at Ashbaugh. If you're a fan of reading and you want to read a sci-fi fantasy book, you can look in the background there. I have a book on my website called The Luminous Ones. Check it out. It's really for folks that like Dune or The Lord of the Rings. So if you're not a fan of that, don't worry, just stick around here. Thanks to my channel members who show up each and every week and each and every month and continue to give back. If you'd like to do that, you can click join, you get emojis, you get to vote twice, and there's other things. You get Q&A access. Feel free to say thanks if you would like to when this is on replay. It's right next to share. And I do see every one of those, and I do like them manually. And before I wrap up here, if you want to give back a little bit, you can, and I'll say your name at the very end. And I think that's everything. Finally, I haven't said this yet. It's the most important thing. If you've enjoyed what you saw today, vote by saying thank you with the thumbs up. We have not even half of the people that are watching that have done that. It costs nothing, and it helps a lot. And if you've never subscribed, consider doing so. I'm close to a milestone, and I'll do something special when we hit 300,000. If you want to get notifications, click the bell. And that's it. All right, so give me a second to pull up the list of the folks who've given back today. I just want to say thank you. One thing before I do that, I just announced the new dates. I'm in the process today, hopefully, of getting all the links published. Takes me a while because it's like 16 different videos. So I'll do that later today, and I'll put all the links up. But there's a list of what's coming through for the next month. I'll be back tomorrow looking at Taurus, and I'll be back Sunday. Everybody's welcome on Sunday to do the collective with me. All right, so let me just quickly go into to say thank you. It'll take me just a second so I can get there, so be patient. So go into analytics, and let me look at those of you that have given back, and I'm just going to say a quick thank you. Thank you to everyone, even if you can't give back. This is just a chance to say thanks to those that are making all of this possible. All right, so we have a shorter list today. This should be easy. Thank you to KK. I appreciate you. I'm going to have to put my glasses on for the next one. Let's see. Looks like Runisti. Thank you, Sarah, April Rain, and Ella V. You guys rock. I appreciate your contribution. And Eddie, thank you, or Edie. I appreciate that as well. So if you want to give back later and I'm not live, like I said, you can just click the thanks button. It helps me continue to refresh all of my card supply and to do more videos. I'm doing at least one more a month because I'm doing every Sunday now live in addition to all 12 signs. So thank you. Again, let me know in the feedback area below in the comments what you liked, what you'd like to see. And I wish everybody a fantastic Thursday if you watch this live, and a great month ahead, and a reminder that I'll be back tomorrow. Okay, take care, everybody. Thanks, Maria, for your help today, and wish you all the best.